and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 219 for the week of July 21st, 2015. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who is here with me this week?
Brock Sager.
Jim Jokisch.
And Charlie.
Lane, you can also say hello, too.
Hello.
Hello, Lane.
Hi, Lane.
My microphone.
Ryan's letting people talk this week. It's very nifty.
I'm letting people talk?
Yes, you're letting people talk.
Well, I don't have like 90,000 things to just read.
Bryce and Toby aren't here, though.
And no Bryce and no Bryce to
I can emulate Bryce if you'd like
to jump in front of me and
I'd
scream
like
about
that. I want to see you emulate.
Oh, my God.
scream about his top 75
Jim, tell us about your Secret Wars pick.
Secret Wars.
No,
I have a list. Wait a minute. Let me get the list.
My favorite thing is it's always a top 10 list that consists of 75 items.
Yeah. No Toby this week.
The cover of a Marvel previews, but then just open the Marvel previews.
Right, just everything. No Toby this week. He's a little under the weather. Hopefully he'll be back next week.
You got that con flu?
But, well, something. But, Lane, you're here. And we wanted to still talk about San Diego Comic-Con because we talked to, I rattled off just way too much news, and we didn't even get to talk about a lot of it. I was just trying to hit, some
Tell us about
stuff.
all about the sideshow statues.
But you were at Comic-Con.
Yes.
And so I want to hear all your stories. So,
the stories, huh?
yeah.
See, one of these days I'm just going to give Lane a stopwatch at Comic-Con that he just starts up every time he's in line so he can calculate how much time he spent in line.
You just want to depress the man?
He went, he shopped, he left.
Actually, I think surprisingly this year was the least in lines.
Yeah, you told me you actually didn't get a ton of stuff for yourself this year.
I wasn't actually interested in a ton of stuff this year anyway, so surprisingly. It was mostly just, obviously, the Funko stuff since I've been into the Funko stuff. And my goal was to get rid of that whole section of what I wanted to pick up on the first night, and I did, and so I was pretty much free to walk around the rest of the time.
So if you've been to a comic book store or a Hot Topic or really any store looking for toys anytime in the last 2 years or so, you've seen these Funko Pop figures, little, what are they, like 5-inch, 6-inch?
Yeah, little
6-inch
four
giant
inch.
heads.
Yeah.
They're 4-inch vinyl toys
Yeah,
for the
4-inch,
regular,
right.
and they have 6-inch big ones.
Yeah, so the 4-inch vinyl toys.
But the Marvel ones are bobbleheads.
Yes.
Very stylized figures, These things are everywhere now, and they are so
And they're
insanely...
crossing every genre, too.
Yeah, yeah, not just comic book stuff. It's video games and movies.
Science fiction, movies, everything.
They have more properties than Lego does.
Wow.
Do they really?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
But do they have more properties than Hot Toys?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Hot Toys
Yeah?
doesn't actually have that many properties. So
And they just made a bunch of announcements this week.
Wow.
Pretty much you could go, do they have? And the answer is yes.
yeah, because it's not just science fiction stuff. They have, Orange is the New Black figures and Arrested Development and
And they got
Breaking
Disney.
Bad.
They had Frozen.
and Breaking Bad, right. So,
And Buffy and
so then you get a lot
Firefly.
of kind of Star Wars, Star
Firefly,
Trek, Marvel, DC.
Game of Thrones, Walking Dead.
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You get a lot of stuff you would assume, but then a lot of stuff that I would never in a million years.
I got to throw Back to the Future in there, too.
Yeah, a lot of classic
And Army of
lines.
Darkness.
And Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Well,
And the hits just keep coming.
the list was last week.
There was no list.
The last couple weeks were lists. This week doesn't
Lane,
need a
your
list.
top 10 Funko.
Wait, 75 of them?
We'll start with 10. We'll see where we get from there.
Bryce is going, you bet.
Thanos is number 1.
But besides just the crazy amount of figures that they have probably as many variants as they do actual figures, just normal figures, because there's tons and tons and tons of variants at Comic-Con. So I remember last year there was 87 different
84. 84 exclusives out of Funko.
Right.
Can they really be exclusives of the 84 of them?
Well, they weren't all the same types, though. I think there was only 40 pops. There are 24 minis,
the little blind
10
pack.
reactions.
Oh, the blind packs.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 reactions, which are like the old-fashioned figures, like the 80s figures.
Okay.
And they have these weird blocks ones, and
And a large part of it also has to do with when you're dealing with what do we create a Comic-Con exclusive out of? They tend to do, okay, we need a Turtles exclusive, we need a Doctor Who exclusive, we need a... They basically rattle off their popular properties and make sure they have an exclusive for each.
Yeah, we need to touch on every genre that's going to walk through this door at Comic-Con.
that, and a lot of the other booths are also jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh, yeah.
So there are like at least 5 other booths at Comic-Con that have exclusive Pops or Funko products.
And at this point with Pops, the wait list to even get these figures is super long to get them produced because they're still not the biggest. They're not like a huge corporation like a Hasbro or a Mattel or something. It's a pretty small group of people that still do this comparatively.
They probably have the money, maybe, but yeah, they don't really hire. They don't have a big staff.
Right.
They keep it lowbrow, I guess, or whatever you want to call it.
I mean, these guys, it's not a big major, like, multi-country
They are
corporation or
small
something.
figures.
Well, yeah, but, so what is even, like, the lead time on these things now? So if I wanted it exclusive, I think it's, like, I have to get 3,000 made. Is that number still right?
I think the number went up from what I hear this year. It may be even as high as 10.
You mean we
Could you get a Ryan Higgins exclusive pop?
Comic Conspiracy podcast character pop figures?
If you want to shell out $600,000, sure.
No, more likely just make customs are also a big thing in the figure world, so that's probably
They
more
have
likely.
blanks? I thought I saw blanks.
Yeah, they have blanks.
See, I can see customs going crazy. I could have fun with that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm actually just having fun. So this will be our Kickstarter, a comics conspiracy / geekbox / comedy button pop line.
Oh, God. So what do you end up picking up?
Mostly Pops.
Pop-wise, yeah. Just kind of whatever you could get a hold of? Or
I didn't actually get a hold of everything. There were a few that ran out before I got there.
Yeah.
There were the big Target items were limited to like 500, so they only had like 50 a day.
Man.
So it was pretty hard on some of them.
What are the
That
more
could be the
popular
large
ones?
size pop.
The biggest, most popular ones, well, obviously the hardest one to get there probably, especially since you had to sign up, was the Conan Pops. You had to go to the Conan show.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, they had the live tapings. You had to be one of the studio audience member to get a pop.
I didn't realize that was the only way to get them. I thought it was...
Did they give them away to people, or you had to be there and then you had a chance to get them?
You had to be there. I think you had to be in the audience and stay for the whole show or something. Toby would know.
So what are the Conan pops like? Conan, Red Sonja,
No, it's Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but it's like zombie
the real
Conan.
No.
And
Yeah.
let's see.
It's
there's
Conan.
It's
Okay.
Conan in a suit, Conan with a Batman suit, zombie Conan, and then it's like a. It's called. It's like Frankenstein.
Conan.
Yeah, it's just called Monster Conan, but yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
nice.
I'm just scared that the Today Show is going to start passing out pops of themselves.
So those are pretty hard to get, and then I think the second hardest is the Batman Superman 2-pack.
Oh, I saw that.
That's the
cool.
limited 500 one.
Ish.
Nice.
So much for
What's
that.
the largest pop out there right now?
Size?
Yeah, size wise. Thanos is bigger. He's bigger than the rest.
Well, officially for sale,
Is it Discord?
no. Well, height wise, no. I think there's some bigger ones.
I like the TARDIS.
They have
I
the
saw a TARDIS
rides.
pop. That was neat.
And stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, also at Fun Days, they have special editions that they gave out to people. There's a Freddy Funko that's 36 inches tall.
Really?
Yeah, and there was
That's like their mascot.
Yeah.
I have one sitting here
Yeah.
that you got me like last year or
I
2
think
years
I
ago or
brought
something.
that.
Or did you bring
Charlie
that back?
did, yeah.
That in.
But they had a 4-foot one or something before too, and
jeez.
they have like these like 6-foot ones they have in the lobby for you to take pictures with.
Nice.
Nice.
That's cool. So, besides the Funko stuff, I know you're big in like art books.
Yep.
You picked up some stuff for Jim.
Yes, he did. It was
And-
awesome.
What would you end up getting?
Less people had art books this year, actually, kind of surprisingly.
Yeah.
Or at least not new ones. So the big ones, obviously, every year I have to get Adam Hughes because love his stuff. The new one was Terry Dodson didn't actually have a new sketchbook this year, but I always follow Terry. Then I picked up new ones from Philip Tan and Mark Brooks.
I like Mark Brooks. He's kind of like got a J. Scott Campbell-ish kind of vibe going on.
Yeah.
Oh, you got
stuff.
Art Germs.
Oh, yeah, an Art Germ sketchbook.
Don't forget Art Germ.
Cool.
I'm still trying to get a hold of last year's. They won $100 for that thing. Oh my God!
Well, a lot of these art books are produced in very small quantities to be
I
sold.
understand. I mean, I can't. And there was only one available on eBay, and it went at $100 for it.
Yeah, that's why it's $100 probably.
That's why it's $100.
It's the only one on eBay.
I still don't have it.
That's supply and demand.
I still don't have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that probably the funniest thing about Comic-Con is I flew down with Toby.
Yeah.
So we took the same airline down. We shared a taxi to the hotel. I left him there. We met up, went in, got our badges. As soon as we got our badges, I didn't see Toby until like Friday.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
He just disappeared on me.
Well, I think I said this last week. I was getting like texts from him, like these delirious texts of like him walking around and like getting lines for Legos and not like all this. He's like, I didn't text you. I'm like, yeah, you did. You texted me like all this weird stuff. So yeah, dude, I don't know how he does it. That's why he gets sick, because he stays up for fucking a week at Comic-Con.
Yeah, pretty much. He stays up for all the parties, so he never sleeps.
That's crazy. I couldn't do that.
I can't do it.
So did you bother with Hall H or any of the panels or anything?
Not even. They were actually doing the whole ticketing thing nowadays, too, so I wasn't even going to bother.
Oh, okay.
So what time does it open? What time does it close? What time do you leave? And what about you said you don't really do any of the after parties or anything, but...
Well, actually, surprisingly, this year was kind of weird, where we had a bunch of after parties. Well, not really. I guess they're kind of parties, but not like the kind of parties that Toby goes to get drunk. Like I had three dinners in a row planned ahead of the con.
Wow.
So,
well, 'cause you do the Funko.
Yeah.
They have
So Funko Fun Days is the big one.
Yeah.
Where they have dinner and then they have the whole party thing where they give out prizes, give out more Funko toys, which was huge, but there were a lot of rowdy people and all sorts of incidents about that.
Really?
You might see on the internet.
Last year there was some big stuff.
Yeah.
They had a couple like altercations.
Yeah, they had a couple altercations. They had one child hurt his leg, and another got taken out with the ambulance.
Jesus.
So what time do you usually show up? I mean,
The show opens technically on the paper. They open at 10 or 10:30 or 9:30, but typically they always say that, but they always open early.
okay.
I don't know why, but they always do. So they were opening pretty much at 9 every day, except for a preview night.
I think it's because San Diego PD are like, you get these few people off our fucking streets and into this building.
And Wednesday they have preview night, which is at like 3 o'clock.
No, it's
4 o'clock?
6 to 9.
Oh, that late? Oh, I thought it was earlier.
But isn't it typically like you can get your badge
Yeah, the
and
badge
tickets
is the early pickup.
The badge you can get at noon, I think.
Yeah.
Between
Okay.
noon and 3 is when it starts.
Okay.
So they
keep
already
changing.
have a big line by noon,
Right.
and then after you pick up your badge, the line to go downstairs already starts forming.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, hundreds of people snaking in all sorts of lines everywhere.
And so you've been
crazy.
running around shopping all afternoon. What time do you typically leave?
This year I left a lot earlier because usually you would know most of the big lines you need to hit within the first 10 minutes because like they're all ticketed or they're capped.
And you told me your little secret about hitting those lines early too. That was cool. I'm not going to share that with everybody.
So yeah, usually within the first 10 minutes or 30 minutes you will know or you will have gotten about as much as you're going to get done that day, or at least know what you're going to get done that day.
Out of curiosity, did Funko in the past 2 years, I guess now, change the way that they do their line? Like
They did it twice. So this year they started a new policy where they were having people line up. It was a limit of one of each item per person.
that's much better.
Exhibitor badges were not allowed for an hour. You had to wait 1 hour before you can get in line. They handed you a paper and you filled it out, and you basically would just, it's like a checklist of what you wanted, and they would just pull it. It was meant to make the lines go faster. It didn't really go any faster. Not that the line or the checklist were bad. To be honest, it was once they got to the register, the people pulling the items were still kind of just as slow as if it was you grabbing stuff.
So it sounds to me like they should have just pre-set aside sets of everything. Therefore, the people who just checked everything, you're like, here's your box.
Here's your trash bag. Here's your
Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, I emailed them suggestions, but that first night was actually really bad because everybody was in there. As soon as they made the announcement, everybody just ran to the corner, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving. Like, my friend Ronnie got shoved 3 times. He almost punched a guy because he tried to shove him even after the line was formed. And it was not very civil at all.
See, I don't belong to Comic-Con, and I punch somebody.
Yeah, I I don't understand. I mean, I understand the need to line up and organize and everything, and you kind of shove in, and you're like, all right, I'm in a line, but. Well, it's pushing people out of the way, and
you're trying to establish dominance. It's better if you just unzip your pants and pee on them.
But I mean, it's gonna end real bad one of these days.
Yeah, I mean, they were threatening to shut it down, and like people were there complaining, saying, "Okay, go ahead and shut it down," because they couldn't get in.
All right,
they would rather screw it for everybody than because they couldn't get in.
Yeah,
wow. And yeah, it was really bad for that first night. The second day was pretty much more the same, except had other weird issues where they shut the booth down for an hour for no reason to take a break. And then apparently on the last 2 days, they started a ticketing system, but they didn't tell anybody.
Huh.
And they handed out tickets at weird places, like at like certain doors, but they didn't tell anybody where to go.
It's weird.
Yeah. So I just, like I said, I went on the first day, got in line, and I pretty much said, okay, I'm got done. Enough. I'm not going to bother. I walked by the line, and every time I see a cap, I just kept going.
Yeah. Like, I remember reading, I think I mentioned this briefly last week. I remember reading on, I think it was Bleeding Cool, the Hasbro line. Mm-hmm. Like, some guy got robbed while they were in line. Like, some guy, like, he was, like, exchanging money with someone, and someone just reached in and, like, grabbed the money and ran away.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, and there was, like, someone else that...
And someone punched someone in the Hasbro
and there
line.
was, like, a full-on, like fist fight.
Yeah, because on preview night, Hasbro doesn't use tickets also. It's first come, first serve, so everybody ran for that booth. It's the same thing that happened. Basically, the same thing that happened at Funko happened at Hasbro, where everybody just slammed and just pushed each other, shoved each other to get into that line.
You hear this, and like Ryan said, it's getting worse and worse every year. Yep. You would think somebody would make an observation and go, we need to fix this, we need to do something about this. But every year, it's the same story.
You think there would just be police officers inside the convention center, just like... You may in an orderly fashion walk to the booth. And
problem is they would get trampled.
Oh,
they don't. There's no unless you had like 50 officers.
Yeah,
there were at least 300 people.
No, you
trying to get in that booth.
50 officers. What you need is 1 or 2 officers and a tank.
You should do fucking stun guns or something, some tasers. Yeah, start macing people.
Hey, you only need one example. Everybody else will fall in line.
Yeah, I
My general sense is it's just the way a lot of this has gotten managed to the point of these items go very quickly. They do not do a very good job of trying to ensure that everybody who wants one gets one. And yes, you have that sort of over-adrenalized sense of if I don't go all out, I'm not going to get one because of all these people around me.
Some people have done the like the lottery, like you draw the tennis, you draw the balls, or whatever, and but you get the green ball. Oh, cool! Now you can go buy something.
So,
I mean, there's ways of abusing that, Charlie.
Yeah.
But
no, Charlie doesn't use his kids for anything.
So
I could buy one of everything. You mean 5 of everything? There's 5 of us.
So one of my favorite methods that I ever saw at Comic-Con, and this wasn't perfect in any shape or form, but I liked the fact that one of the years Mattel did you go to the Mattel booth and they had one person at the front of the line just handing out tickets, and that ticket gave you a 1-hour window that you are guaranteed to be able to come back and buy your shit. And therefore it didn't matter. Well, it matters. The sooner you get there, the sooner you get the ticket, the less likely stuff is to sell out.
Yeah.
But there was a sense of there's no point in coming back until my allotted time.
You got your Disney Fast Pass.
That's what Hasbro still does. They've been doing that for the last 5 years.
The only reason I said that didn't necessarily work as well as it could is I know, like, the year that they started doing that, they made it through the line. They were pretty much done, and they just started letting anybody, but they didn't really,
They didn't police it.
Yeah, so it just kind of reached that point where stuff was selling out before your allotted time to people who weren't allotted a time and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if that still happens anymore.
It does.
But, yeah.
I mean, Mattel and Hasbro still do the tickets that you have the time slots, so you go back to the time. But yeah, if they start running out of the major exclusives, they let anybody in the line because they figure if you're most people are just there for the big exclusives. Like this year, probably the biggest ones were like the Star Wars Black Stormtrooper thing. It sold out in the second day. So after the second day, they were just kind of, okay, forget the tickets, just walk in.
That's the first new Star Wars figure, right?
Yes.
From the movie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, the villain. The one.
No, it's just a Stormtrooper.
Oh, it's just a regular Stormtrooper?
Regular Stormtrooper.
Okay.
But
it's the first one with like the episode 7 logoing and everything.
Yeah,
right?
Unlike normal years where it probably would have been like that huge Devastator, but nobody wanted to carry that damn thing around.
But aside from all the exclusives...
Oh, I do got to ask. Well, one exclusive talk real quick.
All right, go ahead.
Then we'll move on and wrap up here. So, you hooked up big for a bunch of guys here and for myself, but you guys got real lucky and got a lot of those Marvel Scotty Young Disney pins.
Yes.
All right.
How'd that go? How'd the Marvel line go? DC didn't have like stuff like that you could buy at their booth. Their stuff was like graffiti designs and other stuff. But Marvel runs their own booth, right, of merch.
They have a merchandise booth in the corner of their booth,
right.
And then the other half is their signings and all whatnot.
Yeah.
Although they had a funny thing where they had a Twitter machine.
Yeah, I saw that.
You walk in front of the Twitter machine, take a picture of yourself, it posts to Twitter, and then you get a random prize from one of the windows.
I saw that.
Oh, geez.
And they're actually some pretty good prizes.
Nice. Did you win something there?
No, I wasn't even going to try. I don't have Twitter.
What? Just make it in. Then I can just do it.
Just hack Ryan.
Could have posted on mine, yeah.
Well, actually, they had the line was capped every time. Because they had, there was a 3-hour line for that.
Oh, jeez. Of course,
I mean, free
toy.
Yeah,
I mean, free. Yeah.
What were they give? What was in there? I mean,
the pops were in there, T-shirts were in there, the pins were in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
See, Ryan would have been in for the pins.
Yeah. But yeah, the booth itself. Well, I didn't hit the Marvel booth until the second day because the preview night I stood in line for 2 hours at the Funko booth alone. But they had already started selling out of some of those hard to get pins by the time I even got there. But once I got there in line, it was pretty smooth. Just stand in line before they cap it, went through, and then I was able to get back in line when I wanted to get more.
Cool.
And then just run around. I just ran back and forth to find everybody's stuff on everybody's lists, including mine or friends or whatever.
And we appreciate it.
Just ping pong the entire
greatly,
place.
Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I tell Lane every year, I'm like, I give you or Toby, Charlie, whoever's going, I'm like, look, here's a list. A couple things for me, a couple things for the store. A bunch of customers are always asking, hey, do you got a new one going? And I'm always like, look, whatever you guys can get, I'll PayPal you money. I'll give you something in advance. Just let me know what you need. And you guys have hooked it up the last couple of years. So.
I think my favorite instance of that is when I came back with a bunch of Comic-Con swag, and that was the week the big Green Lantern battery got here, and it's just like, trade. Here's your stuff, trade. Here's my stuff.
Yeah.
I'll just walk with this pile.
I think I got a death that year.
I got a death. Yeah, I got a Vertigo death. Yeah.
It's on the box set, yeah.
My favorite San Diego Comic-Con exclusive is the sideshow, the Wolverine skeleton. It's stripped, so it's the adamantium skeleton torso. San Diego I don't remember what year it was.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have one
somebody
other,
at Sideshow was like, we can buy a whole bunch of these science skeletons for cheap. Put silver paint
it's
on
itty
it.
bitty. It's not the tall one. I'm making the tall one.
Yes, you are.
I was going to say there is one other story that was different in the con, and it's actually something that we've been talking on the forums about, which is one of the Funko producers is called MindStyle.
Okay.
They are a factory in Asia. They actually rented out a store location downtown that was about 5-6 blocks from the convention hall. They sold pops and specific stuff for the Asian line out of that store alone. So they didn't actually have them on the floor. You had to go to that little store and know about that store to get it.
Huh. That's weird.
And how long were you at that store?
It wasn't long. I mean, I think the longest I ever waited there was like 20 minutes, and I think I went there like 4 or 5 times because they had different stuff on stock.
You've been here an hour, get out.
Well, the other problem is the truck they were behind, so the truck would come in every day with new stuff. So we had to go back to see if they got anything new. But there's talk that that has actually worked really well as far as the lines and not having exhibitors there, not having any other problems with anything there.
Right. You don't have to have a ticket to go there, right?
Nope.
Yeah. So that's what I've told people, even if you don't have a ticket to Comic-Con, you could still go, and there's still so much stuff to do. It's not necessary to get into the hall. It's nice, obviously, and if you want to go to the paneling and everything, but there's other stuff going on. So,
how many comics were at the Comic-Con? How many dealers were at the Comic-Con? Comic-Con used to be dealers and artists. Not so much anymore. It's entertainment. It's distributors. It's toys. It's everything.
Video games.
Yeah, but ballpark. How many dealers were out there for the comics?
I'd say only 20% of the hall is dealers for comics itself.
That's actually more than I thought.
And then there's, that's including and then there's also Marvel, IDW, Boom's there, the publishers themselves.
But do they sell? Do they have back issues? Classic back issues like Golden Age and
that's
and Silver Age and stuff like that.
Most of them are Golden Age, Silver Age dealers.
Really nice.
There's only probably
no. I mean at the Marvel and DC booths.
Oh no, not in the Marvel DC.
Nothing in there. Just current stuff.
They don't sell comics.
Yeah,
like the DC booth is.
That's so weird.
Yeah, nothing's for sale at the DC booth. They don't sell stuff there.
Yeah, they don't want to take money at DC booth.
So it's just all promotional stuff. It's just all promotion stuff.
Marvel only sells the variants.
Schedules and all that kind of stuff.
IDW and Image will have big tables of trades and exclusive stuff, but Marvel and DC, they don't do that.
Well, Marvel kind of does now.
Marvel has the merch booth, which has the variant covers, but that's it.
Yeah. But, that being said, one of my favorite things about going to a lot of these cons and that kind of stuff is I hit the Jim Zub table and buy various Jim Zub books that I haven't bought yet. And there's I can't speak for the past 2 years, but there's always large, trade paperback booths and that kind of thing. So it's...
Yeah, but I don't see how these guys can blow stuff out because they got to pay for that freaking table for 5 days?
Yeah.
5 days, right?
4.5, yeah.
4.5 days. They pay a grip for those freaking tables at that show. They got to clear some insane money in order just to break even.
I would assume if you're a grandfathered table there, it's one of the old school guys, and you don't have a huge booth, you have a normal, regular size booth, whatever the kind of base size is. Lane, maybe but I have to assume a booth is $4,000 or $5,000. I have to.
Last I heard, they were
around that
$5,000 to $7,000.
Okay, that sounds about right
for the whole time.
Yeah,
which means you got to clear $10,000 to break even.
Oh yeah,
easy. That's unless you're and you could do that with a couple Golden Age, Silver Age books, but the clientele's just not there for that anymore.
You got to sell that Golden Age book to just break even.
Right.
You're basically giving away a book in order to stay, at the show.
But here's the problem:
I hate that.
When you leave, you never come back. You will never be able to go back if you don't keep the table there every year. You will never get back in.
Wow.
And the booths that I tend to go to, which have a varying discount and that kind of stuff on the stuff, are constant. I go to Things from Another World at all the cons I go to, and there's never a time that booth is dead. There's never a time there's not a group of people going through stuff and paying money for stuff.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So
that's good to hear.
There are the long-standing people who do cons know the stuff to bring, know how to move the merchandise they need to
They've
move.
learned their lesson. Yeah. They've trial by fire. They've learned what to bring and what not to bring.
And,
don't get me wrong. I love exclusives as much as anybody. Variants, exclusives, hardcovers, trades, freaking DVDs, action figures, toys, collectibles, props, you name it. I'm into it. But, oh, my God. I can't even fathom going there, standing in line. Lane, I give you props because I couldn't stand in line for 2 hours for something. I just sitting there be going nuts.
So
I could be going over
you would
there.
just order it online and have it mailed to your house.
Yeah, that's what I do. I just order. I place my Lane order, and that's what I do.
So the last Emerald City I went to, one of the things that struck me was when I went to the Things from Another World booth, they had the various pop figures for the various celebrities that were at the con, in mass quantities, so they could sell those, so people could go get them signed. Yep. So, yeah, they have it down to a science. They know exactly what people are going to want to buy, not just hardcovers, not just toys, not just statues, but across the board. They look at the con, who's going to be there, what artists, what writers, what celebrities, and they make sure they have the stuff to support that.
I didn't think about that. See, the last con I went to with here, they had the girl from Farscape there. I could have very easily taken my Farscape DVDs there for her to sign, stuff like that. Farscape comics, that would have been. I didn't think about looking at who's coming and planning ahead like that. So it'd be good.
I mean, even before Comic-Con, we had customers coming in buying just random stuff to take to the con to get signed or blank cover or.
Oh, the blank covers are beautiful to get sketches on and stuff like that. If you can talk the artist or afford for the artist to do the sketch on it.
Yeah. Well, I was also going to say, as far as when I heard your Golden Age, Silver Age dealers, they actually say that I know the booth is expensive as hell, but to them, it's also worth making the connection if they make a connection with somebody who brought in a Golden Age collection to sell to them.
Oh, okay.
Or they know if they make that connection with a guy who has Golden Age, Silver Age books that they know they could trade from, or it's about the networking more to them than the money.
Yeah, they might make more going to smaller cons during the year, and then this is just they might not make as much money on Comic-Con.
But they get the advertisement.
But it's the advertisement. It's being there. It's
But I also can't assume that anyone's going to con to bring books to sell. That must be such a small group of people these days. But I mean, I guess if you're hey, I'm going to Comic-Con, I'll meet you there and buy your collection. But I don't know. I just don't see the need for that anymore. And with eBay and online dealers, and you're going to get the
Well, I mean, I understand the appeal of having the physical item there.
Sure.
If Jim was wandering around,
but you're adding in a $2,000 to $3,000 minimum purchase fee to go to Comic-Con to also buy a comic.
Right?
I
know, but for a lot of these people,
you can save yourself a lot of money just buying it online.
Some of these guys that are going around don't necessarily have storefronts. They're just they're just buying up collections and selling keys and doing all that stuff. So again, they might not make money at Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But they'll make money at, Emerald City, or they'll make money at,
when I was
one
there,
in Arizona or one in Indiana.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's possible, but I think it's likely they're selling it all online.
You touched on an interesting point, and I'm curious about Lane now. You flew down to Comic-Con, stayed there, and drove back or flew back?
Drove back.
Drove back. Okay. Ballpark figure. Not the pops, not the exclusives, nothing like that. Just the trip alone. Ballpark figure.
Well,
counting the tickets, you can count in the price of the tickets
and food.
That's a little hard because I split everything with my friend I room with. So, we split the room. We split.
That's a way to go. I'm not doubting that. But I mean, out of pocket. I mean, just to get there into con. You flew down there. Mm-hmm. You went to the hotel. Unless you're using points. We all use points.
Not all of us use points.
Some of us use my points, but let's go somewhere
Ryan
else.
Uses your points.
Don't distract this train of thought.
Well, look, you're talking $200-300 for a flight. You're talking.
Well, actually, no, it's only 100 and something.
That's not well. Okay, so maybe 200 after tax. You're talking at least $200 to $400 for food, depending on how fancy you want to eat.
Yeah. For Lane, that's only one way. So you round trip, you have to double it.
Well, he didn't fly back.
I know, but but it's about $100 and some dollars.
So $100 something there,
so
right?
If most people are going to be round
so
tripping
100, so 100, 150, and then so we'll just say 150 for the ticket, $400 for $300 for food. I'll just say $300 for food for 3 days.
Hotels
4 days.
Hotels
the big one.
$1,500 probably, $1,200.
How much was the room a night? That's crazy.
They've got to be $200 to $300 on the low end.
$300 a night.
Yeah.
Oh my
I would expect
I would expect.
And that's a cheap hotel.
I think the cheap hotel. I think when I went, it was $250, and that was quite a ways from the convention center.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say about $1,200.
What are the tickets?
Right now, tickets are $200.
$200 a day.
I thought it was $250.
No,
I thought it was $250.
I think it's I don't know. Maybe
was
for I think. Well, see, remember I registered as pro, so I get one free.
Right.
And then I think we were charged $200 for our extra badge, but. Yeah, I don't know what the regular price was.
Yeah.
So you're talking, like he said, he's talking $2,000 easy just to get your foot in the con.
Yep.
And then going there, if I was to go in there, I say I'll be going. Okay, it's exclusive. Yeah, okay. But if I went there, I'd be looking for my key issues, my milestones, stuff like that. But I already paid $2,000. That's a hell of a key issue right there. Let me tell you. That's a Hulk that's a Hulk 181.
I know
how
how they make money. There are a ton of gyms out there that actually go to the con and just buy their key issues.
Well, I mean, think about all the people who go there, spend $1,000 to get there. and picnic in Hall H every day.
Yeah.
Technically, they're getting nothing out of it, like monetarily.
Right.
It's the experience.
It's the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get that at the DMV.
Not to mention, there's when you're spending $2,000 to get to the convention, spending $100 at this booth and $200 at this booth does not seem
Right.
It's like nothing, right?
You're a baller, man.
It's water.
If you're already in, right? If you're already in, you just you accept a $4,000 credit card bill, or you just don't go. I mean, that's just what you do at con. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, and actually thinking
One day when I grow up, and I'm not going to tell you I just had a birthday, but one day when I grow up, I'm going to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
next year.
Next year? Lane has the plan. We're taking a bus. Everybody's on the bus going down to Comic-Con.
You take the
Can you see that bus coming back, just wall to wall and stuff?
No, I'm curious.
Boxes hanging out the windows all the way back.
No, I'm curious. How much of your hotel room was filled with shit by the end?
A lot this year,
Hey,
more.
those are collectibles.
Yeah, normally we're pretty good about not having the room filled because we ship stuff out halfway through.
Oh, that's good.
But we didn't have boxes this year,
Oh, jeez.
so yeah, we were pretty full, and Toby was pretty bad too.
No.
But Toby was better than normal because he didn't set foot in the hall very much.
Yeah.
He was busy.
Well, and he didn't.
He face planted.
He didn't get that She-Hulk figure or statue for Jim.
No, I tried to, and I missed it by like a couple
Hey,
hours.
I appreciate your efforts. You came back with my sketchbooks, my J. Scott Campbell hardcover. You got my broadsword sketchbook. I'm a very, very happy man.
That's okay. I'm still waiting for Toby to bring me my exclusives that he picked up for me. So even if he had got it for you, you'd still be waiting.
He'd still be waiting. Well, hopefully Toby will be back next week and we can hear, because I'm sure he's got some crazy stories. And something else we want to talk about this week. A movie came out.
Little movie.
See, it's funny because Marvel's
That was so dumb it was stupid. I mean, that was so dumb it was funny.
Marvel's Ant-Man came out.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about Ant-Man here. So I really am thinking back, and I can't remember if I saw Cap and Thor opening weekend or if I saw it like my day off the week after. I have a recollection of actually not seeing it.
Thor, we went to a show because
The first one?
The first one, yeah.
Then maybe Cap. Because I didn't. No. Because I went to see Thor with Leanne because we were at a shitty theater because it was like they didn't. It was like in a 3D theater, but they had it in 2D, and they didn't take the cap off the lens, and it was like this really dark filter over the whole movie.
Yeah, I got you.
remember
I saw
seeing that.
2 weeks ahead of you over in Singapore for Thor. And 2 weeks ahead of you for Captain America over in Taiwan. But I saw each of them like 3 times.
So there may have been only 1 or 2 of these movies, but pretty much all of them I've seen opening weekend and usually Thursday night. I actually not seen Ant-Man yet.
I can't believe you did. You were in Disneyland and you didn't go see frickin' Ant-Man while you were there.
At the movie theater.
At the movie theater.
We had
IMAX.
We had a very set schedule of stuff that we had to do there.
You don't need to take a nap.
You're seriously OCD is what you are.
We did need to take
Did you get Ant-Man's signature in your book?
No, but I took a photo of the Ant-Man preview thing in California Adventure, so that was cool. And I was looking for some of those little Ant-Man billboards, but they
pulled them, I think.
Yeah, they didn't have any.
I got the Ant-Man poster. That was kind of cool.
Nice.
But the
Did you grab me one?
Huh?
Sorry, you're a dick.
So, definitely want to talk about the movie. So we'll talk spoilers here. I already know bits and pieces of what's happened spoiler wise, and I'm very excited to see the movie. I'm not like I don't want to see it. Bad week timing on the weekend. I'm going to go see it Thursday night. But so feel
You're
free
still
to
seeing it on a Thursday night.
Yeah, I know, just the wrong Thursday. So feel free to spoil and jump ahead 20 minutes or so if you don't want to get spoiled by this podcast. But what'd you guys think?
Go ahead, Brock.
Someone jump in.
Well, I was scrambling around to get to go to it with people on Thursday. Marshall didn't want to go. He was like, too late. And so Jim actually popped in and I said, "You want to go see it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll go see it." So we ended up not being able to go to the 9:30, but we got the 10:30, so it was pretty late. But the theater wasn't even packed at the mall or anything, which is what I expected. I didn't expect this movie to get Avengers 2 numbers or
Yeah, it did. It was like 54 million, 58 million,
58,
something like that.
that.
Let me take a look.
But
I want to say opening night was like 6 million.
Could be for
Thursday.
opening.
Like Thursday night was like 6 million or something like that. Yeah,
58 million. Yeah.
So
that's for the weekend.
So Jim and I go, and I mean, I went into this. I don't know how Jim did, but I mean, I went into this going, it'll be fun. It's Paul Rudd. I like his, when he does comedic roles, and he's a decent actor. And I was pleasantly surprised. It was a good, solid movie. I walked out just entertained. It wasn't a blockbuster. It wasn't this huge summer thing, but it was just a nice, good, solid movie overall that I enjoyed. Jim.
Yep. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. Again, I went with Brock on Thursday night. I went with a coworker on Friday night, and then Saturday I saw Toby, and he wanted me to go Saturday night with him and Lane. And I planned on doing it, but I fell asleep, so I didn't make it. But that being said, it's a really good action comedy. Paul Rudd does a good job in it. The one-liners aren't that corny. I was happy they brought in they did a cameo in there of Avenger, which is the Falcon. He did a really good job. That was funny as hell. There is a lot of there's a lot of Easter eggs in there, and I like Brock said, it's not a blockbuster, but it's a good standalone movie, and I'd take my kids to go see it, no problem. My kids are already upset with me because I didn't take them to go see it, but yeah, I'd go see it again, no problem, no issues with that.
Well, I think you've had some various takes on the Marvel movies recently. They're not all just the same superhero movie. Guardians of the Galaxy was obviously a big kind of space opera.
Space Star Wars, yeah.
Cap 2 was kind of a
espionage,
like Bourne Identity kind of style.
This is the heist movie.
Thor 2 was much more fantasy.
Yep.
This was a heist movie. Avengers is kind of the big, more kind of traditional superhero movie. So they've changed around with that formula pretty regularly.
And I mean, with what happens in the movie, I mean, and Michael Douglas is Hank Pym, and they show old war footage of him just in action, but you don't see anything because he's so small, right?
You see a speck.
You see a speck, right?
Yeah. It's the there he is.
That was like Cold War, like Vietnam stuff. They showed up.
Yeah, it was like it was kind of that stuff, and to me, I was like, oh my gosh, because it ties in so well with that they can tack it into Agent Carter.
And speaking of which, one of the Easter eggs was fantastic. They open up the movie with a younger Hank Pym, and who's standing there? Howard Stark, white-haired, same actor they used. I think it's the same actor they used in Iron Man 2. Mm-hmm. And who else is standing there? But Haley Atwell, Agent Carter, is right there with them, and it's
and you forgot to tell them what building they're in.
Oh my God, when they do that scene, they're building the Trisculin from the Ultimates.
Oh, cool.
So
it's under construction.
So it's under construction. You can see the bays in the water where they're gonna put the shield helicarriers and stuff like that. Yeah. So it's really cool. Yeah, but it was a nice reach back to Captain America 2.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, the movie did a great job just combining a lot of different things, like from the TV shows, from the different movies. It gave like a good context to kind of making the Marvel Cinematic Universe more connected. Again, Jim said something about family. It's a very family oriented kind of movie. There's not really too much.
There's action, but there's not a whole lot of violence.
Yeah, you're not seeing like people getting gunshot wounds.
Except for those helicopter pilots that got zapped.
But it's not like a violent action movie at all. I mean, it's got action in it, but
Yellow Jacket's a bastard.
It's very toned down. And what was hilarious is as I'm watching the movie in this particular part, and if you've seen a trailer. It's they're fighting around the kids' play table with the Thomas the Train that's going around, and they zoom out and it's like dinky dinky dinky, but they zoom in and it's like train noises and all fast and stuff. And I remember we were watching the trailer and you're like, "Why'd you make me watch that? Because it's the funny, and now it's going to be funny in the movie."
Dude, it was still funny.
You're going to be surprised when you get in there because
there's more to it than that.
It gets better. They introduced They showed us the Wasp, but they didn't show us Janet. And
No, they did.
they didn't show us. We
Yeah,
never
they
saw.
did.
We never saw her face.
Well, you never see Janet's face. All right, I'm going to spoil that for you. They never see Janet's face. Even in the photos, she's wearing like a big hat or something like that, and you don't really see her face.
And in the photos, this is why I'm like they can tie in using.
That was Michael Douglas, though.
It was.
That was a young. When I saw it again, you can, like I said, when you see it the second time, you can go through and start watching the Easter eggs, and that was a young Michael Douglas in that photo.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, I mean, they can easily tie in Hank Pym, a young Hank Pym, into Agent Carter or something. So it'd be cool if they did that.
there is a theory recently on the internet that Agent Carter was Tony Stark's mom.
Oh,
She was hooking up with Howard.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the film. I think it's going to be one of those things where a lot of people are going to talk about it, especially this week, and then a lot more people are going to go see it. So I think it'll be it'll stay in the theaters and do fairly well.
Go see it. Go see it. Take your kids, Charlie. Go see it.
It's kid safe, dude. I'm tempted to take my 4-year-old, and he's watched Guardians.
I'm waiting for my turn.
Yeah. So, well, Charlie, have you seen it, Charlie?
He did.
Oh,
okay.
fine. Go,
All
Charlie.
right, Lane, you're up. Keep going.
No, that's it. I haven't seen it.
Do you want to see it?
No.
Yes.
No. You remember?
Wait. You were supposed to go with.
I know.
You were supposed to go with Toby.
Like they screwed. I got screwed over by the.
But it happens.
I went over to get food, and the theater screwed me over. So.
Okay. All right, Charlie, you're up.
Okay, so I've seen most of Ant-Man.
What? I knew this. I knew it.
Yes. So what ended up happening is I had a friend whose work was taking, like, they rented out a whole screen.
Oh, okay.
And they invited friends.
Yes, if we have any big company, the guys that run big companies here, that's a great thing to do for your employees for morale is rent the whole thing. Instead of everyone leaving for 2 hours, just rent for 2 hours and then, make them happy.
Any event. So they had enough tickets that I got invited with my family to go see it for free on Friday. The problem is we were also having a big release for work on Friday around that time. So I had to leave the theater for about 15 minutes to deal with the work release and then go back in. So there's about 15 minutes towards the first hour of the movie that I haven't seen.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. But that being said...
You know that Baskin-Robbins knows, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then you're fine.
Okay, is that what that's from?
Yes, that's
okay.
what that's from.
I've seen this all weekend, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Baskin-Robbins knows.
What
dude.
is this from? Okay, so it's from Ant-Man.
Hey, Ryan, you can just take a mango smoothie, okay?
I'll find out what this means on Thursday. Okay, at least now I have some context of what this is in reference to.
But yeah, I greatly enjoyed the movie. In fact, I think there's always sort of this talk about where does Daredevil fit, where does like a lot of this within sort of the world of Avengers. Mm-hmm. And they've done a very good job with stuff like Guardians where you kind of know where it fits because it's in an area where there are no Avengers. Mm. I kind of like the fact that this movie proved that even in a world where there is directly Avengers, you still can have the little guy, as it were. Yeah. Some of my favorite parts of what they did with this movie was stuff like I really, really liked that Hank still had a super short fuse.
Yeah.
Like I knew they wouldn't go there, and I totally understand why they didn't go there. But leaving him as one of those characters with a super short fuse with a
temper,
very kind of wild temper in a way.
That's probably the only violence in the movie.
I thought was very, very good and very, very true to the character. I love the fact that they established he operated as Ant-Man until he basically retired from it for reasons that they get into, and they did a very good job of respecting the history of the character while making some things different. And even the stuff they made different, I didn't mind and enjoyed and liked. And yes, I thought they did certain things amazingly well, like when you get to the Avengers cameo, and just all the reactions going around that from various characters, because it was not a in-character expected cameo. It was sort of a, holy shit, what am I doing?
And let's make sure that Cap doesn't know anything about this.
Yeah. And just, in general, I thought they did a really, really good job. And it's kind of funny because the way it ends, I understand the way why it ended that way, but it also doesn't feel like it necessarily fits with the rest of the movie. Like, the last 15 minutes feels so different compared to the first bit of it. So,
Now, I mean, I know there's some after credits stuff. Do you guys want to talk about that, or Lane? Do you care? I mean,
well, we already talked about one of it briefly.
Yeah. Okay, so this movie introduces Hope Van Dyne, which is actually Hope Pym. All right, and she's from the I think she's from one of the alternate Marvel universes. I think she's
not a real character. I mean, she's not a real. She's not a real Marvel universe character. It's a new character they made.
So she's going to take the place of the Wasp. And at the end, in the first end credit, Hank basically says, we need,
here's a prototype we were
working on. Janet and I were working on, and I think you should, take over as a Wasp, that we can finish. And she's like, about time, So, and the prototype looks bad, man. It looks badass. It really does.
Nice.
Well, she seemed earlier in the movie. She seemed to want to be the one to wear the Ant-Man suit.
Oh, yeah.
So it was very fitting.
Given what happened to his wife, you got to understand his reservations for putting his daughter.
Oh no, I completely understand that. I'm just saying that in a lot of ways was sort of the payoff from the earlier scenes where she's like, "Why can't it be me?"
And the other thing is that
the end scene being like, "Well, I have a suit of my own."
I'm not going to spoil everything, but I'll just say that Janet could still be around.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, she somewhere in the microverse, she could still very easily be around.
Oh, as everything stands, they left plenty.
And they left
that
wide open. They could use anybody for that character.
Ant-Man will return.
That's right. Ant-Man will return.
Which, the way they set things up in this movie, we've talked a bit about, like in Avengers 2, how it was very much, okay, we need to introduce these new characters going towards Civil War, especially because Civil War is not necessarily going to be another Avengers movie, meaning you're going to have some Avengers in it, but not necessarily all the main
movie.
From what I understand, they've signed just about everybody except for Hulk, except for Mark Ruffalo, as far as I understand.
Did they sign Thor?
Yeah, as far as I understand,
because I knew there was going to be a connection, and I know. Well, okay, we're getting into spoiler territory for something that's not even.
It makes sense. It makes sense that Hulk isn't in Civil War due to the fact of what happened at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah, okay, but anyway, back to Ant-Man.
I guess what I was saying is, I think they're doing a very, very good job of paving the way to have a lot of returning characters in Civil War that can get used in interesting ways, not just Spider-Man. So
I did like that. They're aware of the Avengers. Paul Rudd's like, okay, first thing we should do, I think we should call the Avengers. This is not a city dropping event. Okay, we don't need the Avengers on this. I'm not. Oh, what was the other thing? Oh, I'm not gonna. I've taken so long to not turn over my tech to a Stark. I'm not just gonna hand it over to another one. So, yeah, he still has bad feelings towards Howard Stark and for S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time.
Well, and then the last credit scene at the end of the credits is that they found Bucky.
Yeah, Cap and Falcon found Bucky. I don't know why his arm was in a vice or something. I don't know what was going on with that.
Well, if you found Bucky, you might put his arm in a vice too.
But yeah,
so there is one part of Ant-Man that bothered me, and I'm curious if it bothered either of you. I didn't like the sort of throwaway appearance of Hydra.
Yeah, well, Hydra isn't quite what it used to be. I thought it was going to be AIM. I thought it was going to be AIM.
AIM I would have been perfectly fine with, but the whole introduced me to these Hydra. I'm like, they pretty much killed Hydra between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Avengers 2.
The Hydra that was on the helicarriers, there's still plenty of sleeper agents and Hydra agents around.
But what I'm kind of... So, in Avengers 2, they specifically kind of established they raided the final Hydra base.
Yeah.
That they could identify.
But you could let one head grow back.
In the end of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they firmly establish there is no active Hydra, and Ward is basically trying to recruit some of the remaining at-large people who were part of Hydra, but there is no active Hydra. So
Hydra is always around, just so you know. Just so we're clear.
So it was kind of weird to just have it in this movie to be like, hey, look, I'm going to sell it to these Hydra guys.
I would have been happier. I'm with you. I would have been happier if it would have been AIM. That would have made more sense to me.
This is the thing: is I think it's not necessarily a throwaway because of the guy who he's selling it to, because he's been with SHIELD since the beginning, or at least with the Triskel and stuff. And so
I'm completely okay with that guy being Hydra.
I think they're just kind of trying to. I think they're just trying to connect it a little bit more to what's going on and everything else by saying, well, this guy's been Hydra for a very long time. But again, it's not something that's majorly important to the movie because there was a couple of plot things I was like, it's a little weak on. But again, I think it didn't need that because it was more of a family movie versus anything else. And that's funny because it's a heist movie.
I had more.
I would have been even fine if they had just not specified who they were selling it to.
Yeah, I can see that. I had more of a problem with Yellow Jacket being a throwaway villain. He felt like the Ironmonger. He felt like Whiplash.
And he can change into his suit really fast.
Yeah, he can. In a helicopter.
Yeah, that was
the
one weird thing that I have. Like, I think that was one of the weirdest parts of the movie is he doesn't have the suit on, and it's tiny, and then he has the suit on and it's big. It's a weird transit. When you get to it, you'll know.
It's a slight plot hole. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
what about the guy he zapped in the bathroom? It's like, that guy checked into work and he never left. Where is he? Yeah.
No, it's
he's Mr. Evil with access to the computer system. Of course he left.
No, I think that
he never even came into work that day.
I think that if this is a good movie for everyone to go check out. It's really fun. It's a solid movie.
Yeah, where do you guys rank this kind of Marvel scale? Middle of the pack, bottom of the pack?
You're not supposed to ask that kind of question.
I'll give it a 6.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll give it a 6.
I'll give it around a 6 or a 7. But again, it's different.
That's pretty low comparatively to high.
Well, you're saying it based on the rest of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And yes, it's a 6 or 7. But if you're looking at, is it a fun, good, solid movie? I would give it an 8 or a 9 because it is a good.
That's what I'm asking. I mean, if it's just I don't think this is any of your favorites or top 2 or top 3, but is it bottom of the barrel or
no?
Not even close.
No.
Just okay. So
not
just,
even close.
So middle of the pack. So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's higher than middle,
yeah.
But it's nowhere near the bottom. I mean, we're talking like Dolph Lundgren Punisher bottom.
No, I'm talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Iron Man and beyond, not X-Men, not Spider-Man, not anything earlier. See, that's what I'm asking.
See, I would put it on the same scale as like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
about around that range.
I put it above it.
Huh?
I put it at least above it.
Around. I said around the same range. What more do you want?
I enjoyed Ant-Man more than I enjoyed Iron Man 2 or Iron Man 3.
See, for me, the Marvel movies, with the exception of Iron Man 3 for myself, are all like B and higher. So like they're all good. Even the worst is.
Oh, don't get me
good,
wrong. This is really, really good.
Yeah.
It's a really. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen it a second time. Yeah. Even if it was just for the Easter eggs.
You would have gone just because it was a comic book
Shut
movie
up.
and you were getting out of work for a couple hours.
But I really enjoyed it. It's not the bottom of the barrel, but it's not the highest. So 6 or 7, something like that.
Yep.
I put it right around that range.
None of you saw it in 3D, right?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I saw it in 3D the second time. I didn't have a choice. It was the only movie available at the time.
See, Higgins, whenever you leave and we have to watch movies, you should just leave your 2D glasses.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, you had the 2D glasses?
I do. I got them. Yeah.
Oh, I would have loved that so much. Oh, yeah. I saw it in 3D. I was like, So that's why I just looked for the Easter eggs on the second time.
All right, I got a couple questions here. Let's get one or two of these.
You want to thank some Patreon first?
I can do that. I can do that. But you usually do it at the end. But I can do it.
Well, I
now,
always
too.
try to get it so it's not the very last thing.
That's true.
Let's thank them now. Do some questions and then get out of this bitch.
we want to thank Albert Soy and his.
See you tomorrow, Albert.
Yeah. He's been working on this thing for a while. He's got an app that's on iTunes right now on the iPhone, and I think Android's coming down the road. It's called Plant Everywhere. Check this out. It's a photo sharing app. He's put a lot of work into this. Got a group of guys working on this, so go check that out and give it a test. He's looking for feedback. And
my fiance, I think, was going to look at it and download it, but she was going to tell her friends about it and stuff. But it looks interesting. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah. I'm going to grab Leanne's phone and test it out on that and make sure it works. So, check that out. It's called Plant Everywhere.
He's going to test it he's going to test it on his girlfriend's phone before he's going to mess with his phone.
I don't have an iPhone, so I have an Android. So, Jody Lawson, check out the Canon, the Triad Comics anthology at triadcomicstudios.com to go check those guys out. Got a cool comic they're working on. And Julian Titus of the Nerdzilla Pants podcast at pixelbit.com, PIXLBIT.
Can they give us an address where we can send them pants?
Keep it pantsless. No, because you're supposed to keep it pantsless.
Well,
Internet.
They can burn the pants we sell.
That's okay. We'll send them the Emperor's new pants.
Yeah, the Emperor's new pants.
And thank you, everyone that donates to Patreon, patreon.com/comics.
Thanks for the pizza.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
I always enjoy our evening.
Okay, I let this sit
our Tuesday
long enough.
evening
I'm gonna eat this
pizzas. Gotta love our Tuesday evening pizza. Let's see. I got a couple questions here. This is from Hello, my name is on Twitter. He says, "Do you think we'll see classic villains react to the James Gordon Batman?" Yeah. I have to assume soon.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these first arcs coming out during the post New 52 stuff are all kind of newer characters or newer. But he's obviously at some point
they're trying to establish it as something that it stands on its own, separate from what it came from. But you're going to have those classic villains come in at some point.
Yeah.
Because it's part of the Batman universe.
Or
That's okay.
kids.
I was about to say, I hope
kids.
Junior.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Penguin Jr.
Well, no, I'm talking about Jim's kid.
Jim's
Gordon
kid?
Jr.
Oh, yeah. James Gordon Jr.?
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, because he hasn't.
he's
I
a
don't know
little psychotic.
what happened to him after
They just kind of dropped it,
Yeah.
but this would be a very good way to pick it back up.
Yeah.
Well, and Snyder writing, the first new appearance of James Gordon Jr. in Black. I almost said Black Vortex.
Black Mirror.
And Black Mirror.
Yes, which if you haven't read that, you need to.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Similar kind of tone here. Cross X Hunter asks, any customer reactions on DC's new continuity stance, and also had Stefano asking a similar question. What do you think of DCU's approach to free range continuity, aka tell your cool story with whoever, whenever you like? So Dan DiDio came out this past week and Sunday or Monday, kind of clarified what's going on, but I read it and it didn't clarify anything. It's kind of what we were talking about before. There's a continuity, but there's not a continuity. They're gonna stop trying to explain it.
All right, this is what it is. There are characters that they are keeping in the continuity that they've established because they don't want those characters to deviate from that norm.
Right.
They are saying they are open to people telling other stories about characters that don't necessarily fit into that continuity.
Right.
And that is that they're allowing the creativity to come out more so for these newer books coming out. Yes, they do have a continuity. Yes, they are sticking to it with some of their titles.
Right.
Not all of their titles, just some of them.
Right.
Like
But
Green Lantern is still doing Green Lantern stuff.
Why can't they just call them Elseworlds like they used to?
No, because then
Because they don't
that
sell.
No, because that then says that certain stories count and certain stories don't count. By trying to explain it, it just makes it more confusing. So I
If
think
the story comes with the DVD, it counts.
Oh, Jesus.
I think just do what you want to do.
Are you buying all those?
No, but I love the fact they exist.
I know.
I love the fact that Ryan has a bunch of hardcovers that came in this week with DVDs in them.
Yeah, and Blu-rays too. And is it a DVD, Blu-ray, and
I don't
digital?
remember.
I think it's
Either way, it's kind of awesome since the price point to get those original stories plus a movie is not bad.
Yeah. Alex Martin asks, who is showing more love to Jack Kirby in his creations these days, DC or Marvel?
I just got the king size Kirby, so I'm going with Marvel.
You picked that up?
Yeah, but
Jesus,
but Marvel also settled for like some $50 million lawsuit with the Kirby estate. So is that love or not love? Because
that's not love because a judge was involved.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, a judge is involved in marriage. Oh, that's not love either. No, that's love. Okay.
But
I'm sorry, I've opened this book. It's love.
Well, and at the same point, you also have to think about, Kirby didn't create too much at DC, short of the New Gods.
What about Commandi?
But what are they? They're not using Commandi. They're not using Sandman. They're not using a lot of his creations right now.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas he was directly involved with the creation of the vast majority of the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So it's Marvel will always quote unquote use his creations more, but. Are they honoring Kirby or at this point we're so far removed from that time period where I feel the New Gods maybe are a little, they've remained close to their original concept.
The New Gods have stayed as close to their original concepts, and you can kind of see it sometimes, like when the New God War was going on in Green Lantern. It felt like these Kirby characters were almost going to kind of be modernized.
Yeah.
But then it just...
then they realized they were Kirby characters and
and
you can't touch them.
They kind of just retracted back, and it was one of those things where I was like...
Damn, there's a clause. We can't touch them.
Like, especially with some of the characters, especially the New Gods, that's something that needs to be kind of revamped and revisited because you can't... I mean, it's cool... what's the guy's name that rides around on...
Metron.
No, you're talking Orion?
Orion.
Okay,
come on. Update that little flying thing because it looks ridiculous.
No.
I mean, I'm sorry. Just update it a little bit.
Metron from Metron's chair.
It's in Darkseid War,
yeah.
Like the chair, they've updated. Like it's. I've seen different versions of that chair, but every time you see it, you know it's that.
Right.
chair.
You know that chair. It's the chair. Yeah.
Right.
I like Orion's little hoverboard or whatever it is.
Hoverboard. It's like wires with balls on it that he flies around on.
Don't be jealous.
I'm not jealous.
Sound jealous.
Well, one last question here is from Keith, and he asks...
It's a flying Segway.
He asks...
It is.
I just have Arrested Development and...
Space Segway.
Yeah, Space Segway.
I just have Arrested Development in my head now.
He asks, trying to get my daughter into superheroes. Which Batgirl comics do you recommend?
Nah, Starfire.
Well...
Troll.
Oh, the new Starfire book is pretty good.
Well, how old is she?
Well, that's the question. Any of the current New 52 or the most recent version of Batgirl, if it's a real young kid, probably there's very little. I would actually wait for DC to probably end up releasing a Batgirl trade paperback of the animated series stuff.
Why
Because
be Batgirl? I mean, what about Black Canary?
I mean, again, depending on age, but I wouldn't give this current Black Canary series. He asks specifically about Batgirl.
Batgirl, okay.
So, again, young daughter, really young kid.
Nah, not young, not super young.
DC has a lot of like the board books. They have a lot of kind of the larger textbooks with illustrations on one side.
Mitchell, who writes it all the time, he gets his daughter the little pet ones.
Right.
They have,
and Batgirl's got
really good,
a couple of those.
And there's a couple of them there. But, I mean, kid stuff-wise, my kids love Teen Titans Go, and they have the Teen Titans Go comics, and Batgirl's popped up in there a couple times.
The Batmite's pretty good. The Bizarro's pretty good. I mean...
Yes, but you're still off Batgirl again.
Still off Batgirl.
Well, so is Teen Titans Girl. Go.
No, she shows
Teen Titans Girl.
She shows up in a couple of the episodes. But yeah, I think it's we say age, but it's more along the lines of how mature is your daughter.
All right.
What can she what's her reading level? How old is she?
Yeah.
What is her maturity level? Can she read something with innuendos? Can she read stuff without innuendos?
Right.
So,
Okay. Well, Batgirl aside, what other Marvel or DC book can you recommend for a younger?
Well, hold on, real quick. If she is a little bit older, 12, 13, kind of plus in that age, I would recommend. Again, they're going to release this the Cassandra Cain Batgirl trade paperbacks. They're reissuing that. She's the Asian Batgirl from about a decade ago or so.
Doesn't talk.
Right, but does as the series goes on. And that series to me was never. I mean, the Gail Simone New stuff was great, but it's violent. I mean, it's dark. It's dark. Very dark. So that you may want to wait later. Again, parental. It's your choice, obviously, but you may wait a little bit on that. The current Batgirl stuff, I would probably recommend for. I mean, it's definitely aimed at a teenager crowd. Yeah. So. The most recent stuff I would recommend. And then, but yeah, that Cassandra Cain Batgirl, there are older trades, but there's a new, and the Stephanie Brown Batgirl series as well, like 08, 09. There's a couple trades of those. I think those are all out of print at this point, but I don't think they're very expensive. You should be able to find them. But I'm pretty sure that Cassandra Cain trade, they're going to they're reissuing like a whole collection of her stuff. As well as Birds of Prey. Batgirl pops up. Oracle is in that. It's not Batgirl, but she's in the vast majority of that. And again, that's maybe a little bit older, but I think some of that would work. So,
yeah. I mean, it's based on how mature is she, what's her reading level, all that stuff.
I mean, non-Batgirl, Marvel and DC both have a ton of books that are aimed at all ages and kids markets. The current Miss Marvel series has been very popular. Captain Marvel.
Does Batgirl appear in any of those like smaller Batman little books that you have on the shelf over there?
See, yeah, we have a bunch of these Batman and Superman and a couple of Wonder Woman. They're like kind of text with pictures and this like kind of more bookstore market titles. Maybe like one or two,
like digests. Like digests.
Yeah,
more like picture books where there's text and like a picture going on.
They have a lot of DC's been pushing really hard into like the kids like board book market where they have like the My First Superhero and they have a lot of those that are
really cool.
They're cool looking. Yeah, we have a handful of them
kids.
here. Yeah. So, Gotham Academy too. I'd probably recommend
Gotham Academy for just it's got that. It's Hogwarts, but it's not Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It's these kids are at a private school in Gotham, and they're just curious and going around and getting into trouble.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any more questions?
That's it.
Sweet.
We're done.
Holy crap.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast. I can go get my little outro
We're not
thing
doing
here.
happy.
And just briefly.
Yeah, and not a 2-hour episode.
I brought my list.
Maybe we'll see if we can do the book club stuff next week. I think we said we're going to do this week, but I was gone all weekend, so I didn't get a chance to finish my book. So there you go. I still got to make my pick too. I got to figure out what I want. I'm debating between two.
Is GTO back in the store yet?
I don't know. Don't think so.
Okay, so that's a no.
It's not been given to me. If Toby has it, then it'll never
Bryce
come
has
back.
it.
Oh, does he?
Apparently.
Yeah, I think Bryce has a couple of things.
Oh, geez.
He's got My Day Tripper. He's got GTO. I have a sneaking suspicion he has Immortal Iron Fist Volume 1.
He said he didn't.
You should make sure that A, it's not out of print. B, you have enough copies on the shelf for
and
people to
C,
read.
it's by somebody other than Grant Morrison.
Okay, we'll go with that one too.
Have I picked more than one Grant? I mean, I picked All-Star Superman. Did I pick another
Authority?
Grant Morrison book? I didn't pick that.
Who did?
Bryce picked
that.
Bryce picked it?
Bryce picked Authority, and that's Warren
Let's
Ellis.
see. We've done.
I don't think
We've done the Earth 2, but that was Omar.
That wasn't me. Yeah. I mean, I love Grant Morrison, but I purposely am not.
You did Hellblazer. You've done Hellblazer.
That's a Grant Morrison.
I know, but you've done Hellblazer. You've done All-Star Superman, and what was your other
He's
one?
done the stuff he likes, so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I did Hitman. That's not. Yeah.
Hitman. Yeah.
I'd make you read
I did a
Future
couple
Imperfect
others.
if I did it.
I think he hasn't done more Grant Morrison because we've told him not to.
Charlie did Happy. That's not Grant Morrison. That's him and not me. It is Grant Morrison, but it's not me. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Geekbox.net is where you can find this episode and all our previous episodes. Also on iTunes. I always tell people, of course, you're on iTunes. That's the only place anyone ever gets podcasts.
No, I get it. I do the direct download. I listen to that one.
Okay.
See, I just love that we include this at the end of the podcast that they've obviously already downloaded.
Right. Well, I'm telling you, you should also go and listen to previous episodes in case you missed them, in case you want to know where you can find them. But also rate and review us on iTunes. It helps people find this podcast.
Collect the whole set.
Share this podcast with your friends.
You can discuss this episode and whatever else you want to discuss at forums.geekbox.net or the Geekbox and Comic Conspiracy Facebook group on Facebook. Just search for that. You can find it pretty easy. Digital.comicsconspiracy.biz. That is our Comixology digital website. Connects directly with the main Comixology site. One account works for everything. If you purchase through us, we get a nice little cut. It's pretty cool. It doesn't go to Apple or iTunes or
helping the small guy.
Microsoft or and definitely check out the sales because we get the same cut on that.
sales.
A lot of big sales at Comixology recently. Like legitimately, just absolutely insane sales.
they change
Comic Con. Well, yeah. During like the Comic Con, I saw a lot of good sales. I don't remember what was going on last week at all.
Yeah,
because the changeover's on Mondays, right?
Well, it
the sales
depends.
every day.
Okay,
every day.
Because like Marvel was doing, at least they used to. I don't know if they still are. They were doing like one sale on Friday and one sale on Monday.
Okay,
Yeah.
So they were different.
Yeah.
I picked up 3 books.
Yeah.
On the last sale with that DC stuff.
Yeah. Well, DC does a lot of week-long sales. Like they don't change it up.
Did you get anything on their last one?
No, I don't think I did.
I think I got Identity Crisis, Infinite Crisis, and Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Nice.
So it's a very Crisis-y.
Yeah. No, I've actually been really liking and I've seen it more in terms of DC, but I really like it when they do those trade paperback sales like that, because those are phenomenal.
And they're starting to do
value.
more bundle sales.
Yeah, well, they had their Eisner sale the other week, which was like all the books that DC that had won Eisners from DC, which were really good stuff in there.
Yeah.
ConspiratorBrock.com, that's Brock's video pull list and blog. Go check that out.
Yep.
Infinite Longbox Podcast and The Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension Podcast. Those are Charlie's other 2 podcasts about comic books and Doctor Who. With the new Doctor Who coming out soon, I'm sure.
Maybe.
I'm staring at a bunch of Doctor Who pops
No,
right
new
now.
Doctor Who is coming out, Jim.
Maybe.
Get back on the new stuff. We're all on Twitter. I'm Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Brock Sager.
No, we're not on all Twitter. Why are you lying to people?
Almost all on Twitter. Jim is LD Exterminator.
I'm trying to find a way to change that to Sugar Man, but
Lane is not on Twitter.
Unless we talk about him on Twitter.
Lane is not on Twitter because he didn't
Lane
want
can be Sugar Man. I'm doing it.
He didn't want to. He didn't want to win free crap from Ant-Man. Bryce is Larson Bryce, Toby is Toby XI, and Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Go follow us all on them. The Geekbox Comedy Button, Good Job Brand, the All Talk Podcast. They have their podcast on our little network, so give those guys a listen. And that's it. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Lane, thanks for giving us your stories at Comic-Con. I'm sure we'll wait with bated breath for next year. And maybe Jim. Maybe
We'll wait for that huge, ginormous bag
you'll be there,
walk
too.
through.
Hopefully I'll be there.
Excellent. All right, and we'll catch everyone next week.